We were talking about vol last week and how parabolic moves can result in actually very steep up moves in volatility, right? In option pricing, because when things get a little crazy to the upside, that's still volatility. Upside movement can be considered as extreme volatility, in the case of MSTR and many of these coin proxies on the backs of Bitcoin, of course, going from 65,000 to 100,000 after the Trump win. And so what you do is you get this sort of market that gets very worried in a sense that it doesn't know how far the parabola can go. And as long as it doesn't know that, then it's going to price in insane volatility. And so we've seen multiple hundreds of IV in many of these names. And I said, listen, sometimes you need that day down in order to breathe some relief into the vol space. And that's what we're seeing today. If we look up, just a reminder, everyone, of the disclaimer. So that anything we talk about today is for educational, entertainment, and information purposes only. MSTR, we've got a little bit of a pullback. And why? Well, I think it's a little bit exhausted. We've had some positive news. Michael Saylor keeps grabbing new money from bond issues and things like that and plowing it into Bitcoin. I don't know how long that kind of scheme can last, but it'll last until it doesn't last. And here we are. It's basically helped to push Bitcoin up. I'm thinking at least the sentiment behind it gets the momentum going. Now we pull back a little bit, not a massive amount, but we've come down from almost 100,000 to 95,000. And of course, some of these stocks are now giving it up a little bit. Let's look at the implied volatility. Look at that. We got up to 220 implied vol, which I don't think was even that insane considering some of the movement we were seeing. But sure enough, we've got a pullback here. In our community, I said an iron condor would be probably a good idea. Now, I didn't put it on. The spreads were terrible, so I just didn't bother to put it on. It's too bad because we've seen about a 40-point pullback in implied volatility in that near month, in that December month, and around that 30-day level. So incredible pullback. We'll see. I think we could get to a point where volatility probably is a buy again. But the only thing that worries me is that this 100,000 level on Bitcoin is almost like this massive round number that everybody's been looking for. And in the same sense that we can get pins in options, you get certain large strikes that have a pin, sort of like 5750 during the last JPM caller pin a couple months ago. Well, maybe we get something like that here where we don't get too far above 100, we don't get too far below. Maybe we pull back to about 90, high 80s, but we kind of sort of sit around there. And what that's going to do is bring down volatility, that breakneck volatility. This is the market saying, whoa, thank you very much. We weren't sure how far this parabola was going to go. Maybe MSTR goes to 700, 800, 900, 1,000. The vol market doesn't know. It is in panic mode. As soon as you get a little bit of a pullback and just the slightest bit of calm, we see the laws of volatility physics, which are typically market goes up, volatility comes down. In this case, the case of parabolas, market goes up strongly and volatility goes up as well. And now we're getting a little bit of a sigh of relief from vol markets in here. So I think there's still some meat on the bone in terms of some short volatility type trades that can be done in here. Very, very important to do them in a very limited risk way. We saw what happened today I heard about some people being taken out in body bags, basically, on Save, right? This is a stock that had 500 volatility on it. And here we are, SAVA, crazy move from the 30 level right down to $4. So overnight, just a complete decimation. I mean, you could have sold some puts in there yesterday, and you've been completely destroyed today. So, a great example of, sometimes you just have to stay away. You have 476 vol, and up from, what was that, around 130. This is reflecting some very high risk. And I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but it isn't, because in my programs, especially, I give you a range of volatilities that you can trade in, because once you start getting to 100th percentile, 100th rank, and then doubling and tripling from there, you're facing something that has a massive, massive amount of risk. You can do trades on these kinds of things, but it has to be very limited risk. You don't just sell a cash secured put on a stock like this. Maybe you sell a cash secured, you sell a put spread, like a bull put spread, something like that. do butterflies, do maybe even like a condor. I mean, you're going to get hurt in some of these things, but you're not going to get destroyed. And the number one rule back in the floor trading days is make sure you come back to play again tomorrow. So anyway, guys, more interesting thoughts on volatility, and I'll see you in the next video.